Welcome back to my channel, everyone. I'm Megan Fox, medium smart journalist. What do you get when a Kentucky sheriff walks into a judge's chambers and shoots him dead on camera? Well, a lot of questions, and some of the answers are finally coming out. Like, the judge was running a sex ring? Back when this story hit the news, I knew that there was something terrible going on in Lecher County. And by the way, boy, the simulation does not disappoint because Lecher County, yeah, the judge, the sheriff, everybody involved appears to be a big old lech, if you know what that means. Yes, this happened last year in a rural Kentucky town where a sheriff walked into Judge Mullens' chambers and shot him dead on camera. Let's read the article in the New York Post about this incident because we have so much new information on it now. At the time it happened, I remember thinking to myself, boy, something bad happened. And the sheriff had said that he found his teenage daughter's phone number in the judge's phone. And I was like, what? What is happening here? This sounds crazy.
What?
And I knew that something else had to be happening. I knew that something else was underlying it, but I didn't have a bunch of time when this all was going on to investigate this story, and I just kind of forgot about it. And then in the last couple days, the stories coming out of Lecher County are just insane. So let's get over to the New York Post and read about the new developments in this case. Oh, this is so crazy, you guys. Kentucky judge killed by sheriff ran courthouse like a brothel and traded sex for favors at twisted parties, says a victim. Yeah. So let's take a look at that. All right. So Sheriff Stein walks into the judge's office and shoots him dead. So the sheriff shot the judge 8 times. And he made allegations that the judge was trying to kidnap his wife and daughter, which never really made much sense to me, but I figured something was up. Something had to be going on. So let's read about this. The rural Kentucky judge gunned down in his own chambers last year, ran a twisted, I don't know how many times I can say this word on YouTube without getting flagged, so let's just call it a ring, a twisted ring, and I think you know what you know what I mean. A twisted ring in which young women were coaxed into performing certain favors just to get out of trouble, one of the alleged victims claims. Taya Adams alleges she was among those caught up in Judge Kevin Mullens' apparent sex for favors scheme that saw him and others in the tiny town of Whitesburg demand, you know what, in exchange for cash or to get offenders off the hook. Adams told News Nation's Banfield that Mullens, who was shot execution style in his Lecher County chambers, allegedly by his longtime sheriff pal Sean Steins last September, had warned her to keep quiet about the so-called depraved ring. And then we have a still photo of why is that doing that? Of the moment that he drew a gun on the judge. I mean, and this judge, by the way, looks like the biggest creep on earth. Wait till we get to a close-up of him. You can see it in the eyes. The guy was a creep. We would do you-know-what kind of parties and perform shows and have relations with them for money, things like that, Adams alleged. It was consensual, but it was the thing was that we were so young, and then they used it against us to destroy our lives later. Adams said she felt forced to go along with the judge's scheme because she feared Child Protective Services would somehow get involved and upend her life. They would make sure to make you feel as small and degraded and belittled as possible to take your power away, Adams said. It wasn't immediately clear if the woman had any prior run-ins with the law or if she was on CPS's radar at the time. I think it's interesting and strange the media didn't dig into that. Why didn't they ask her? Why wasn't it clear? They had her in an interview. I don't understand. Most people who've had a run-in with CPS are happy to talk to you about it and show you all the paperwork. So there's something that doesn't add up to me about why the press doesn't have answers about this. She went on to say it was just a given. she would keep her mouth shut about the apparent depravity, insisting who would believe it anyway, because the whole town was doing it. Nobody cares. They're all swingers. It's all a big party to them. It was just so normal. Oh, this is terrifying. I can't think of anything worse than being stuck in a town with a bunch of Kentucky swingers. Can you imagine? Oh, no. Oh, no. No. I just can't. I can't imagine how terrible that must be. What's a Kentucky 6? A Kentucky 6 is like 200 pounds, right? Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. None of this should have happened to anyone. But my God, I can't think of anything worse than a Kentucky Swingers Club. Separately, Sarah Davis, a former deputy jailer at the Lecher County lockup, told the outlet she'd heard about the nasty and sickening stories to come out of the parties. So this is Taya Adams, and good for her for coming forward. Oh, look at this guy. Look at this creepazoid. I mean, could he be any creepier? Really, could you be any creepier? This guy, ugh, look at him. Oh, can you imagine that coming at you? Mm. No. No. This is a horrible story. Pretty much everybody in the county knows, she said, but it was confirmed to me after working in the county jail, especially after being invited to a party myself. The claims only add to the disturbing allegations that have emerged in the wake of Mullens' chilling, caught-on-camera slaying last year, including the slain judge had been running his courthouse like a brothel. Ugh. It has since been revealed that one woman, Sabrina Adkins, threw Mullens' name into the mix during a 2022 criminal investigation into a Lecher County deputy sheriff who was later jailed for ARP and other thing of a female inmate. I looked that case up. It's true. One of these Lecher County deputies went to prison for horrific things done to an inmate. And get this. This woman in her interview also said that deputies were taking inmates from the jail late at night up into the courthouse for these parties. In the courthouse, you guys. This is insane. And I'm sorry he's dead so that he can't stand trial. Because standing trial, I want to see this trial. Well, we will be able to see the deputy's trial, though. Or the sheriff, the sheriff who shot him. Adkins, who claimed she was coerced by then Deputy Sheriff Brian Fields to perform favors in exchange for staying under house arrest, alleged the judge was in on the long-standing sextortion racket. I seen Judge Mullens having you-know-what with a girl in the judge's chambers, Adkins told police in her interview at the time. She added that Fields, who was fired in the wake of the probe, also had some videotapes of some stuff in the judge's chambers, just with girls, that kind of stuff. It's unclear if the alleged scheme had anything to do with Mullens' shooting. You think it didn't? What do you mean it's unclear? Come on. Obviously, this is why the guy was shot by the sheriff. What I want to know, though, is what the sheriff was up to. This is Steins, by the way, Sheriff Steins. Oh, you can't see him. There we go. This is Sheriff Steins. He resigned days after the shooting on September 18th, and he has pled not guilty. Interesting. Authorities have previously refused to rule out if a possible Schmeck scandal was the motive behind the bloodshed. Obviously, it's part of this. The judge had been decades-long friends with his accused killer and was spotted having lunch with him just hours before he was gunned down on September 18th. Chilling surveillance footage allegedly captured the sheriff stepping into his pal's office and making multiple calls to his daughter before opening fire. Steins then allegedly walked out and immediately surrendered, telling cops they're trying to kidnap my wife and kid. The sheriff's attorney later described the execution-style shooting as a crime of passion due to an extreme emotional disturbance. Yeah, but what caused the disturbance is the question. Steins, who resigned days after the shooting and is being held in an eastern Kentucky jail without bond, has pleaded not guilty to the charge of murder of a public official. Unbelievable. All right. So then it appears that there is a true crime channel covering this story locally in Lecher County, which is called Hillbilly Crime. And I did look at, a bunch of you have been asking me to look into this channel and see what she's covering. And I did find something very interesting. Apparently, she's been contacted by a lot of the victims. And you'll have to forgive me. I don't know what her name is. I just know that the channel is called Hillbilly Crime. But I wanted to pull out a little piece of one of her live streams about a letter she was sent by an alleged victim that is really disturbing.
And so I'm not going to read anything that's identifiable to him, but he's going to come on. He's going to give us an interview. And I cannot wait until he does. My heart just like, I've always loved this person. I've always, my mommy always loved him too. Anyway, so he says, there's a name I just can't get out of my head. Dotson, CEO of Drug Court, the main man. Me trying so hard when I was in drug court working, and he had 2 jobs at that time. And Dotson straight told me, you come here and have sex with Ashley. And that was Dotson's wife at the time. He's a much younger woman than him. And he bought her breast implants and took her to the Playboy Mansion. And she is not, in my opinion, she's not a victim. She is a perpetrator, just as bad as Daniel Dotson. Okay. And not just because of this victim. There's way too many out there. I've already talked to too many that have been involved in this situation. So it's not just one person that this happened to. There's several of them. Okay. But you come here and have sex with Ashley and said he had heard I had been out past curfew. And if I wanted to be successful in drug court, then I had to have sex with Ashley when he watched and pleasured himself. That's what everybody says. He would even touch this man, allegedly. It got to where they would get drunk in Pikeville, Hazard, wherever they were out partying. And you can look at a lot of them's Facebook pages. You can look at a lot of these people's social media and look back around that time. And it's like they were party people. And he had to leave at 11 o'clock at night, past curfew, not supposed to be out of the county, but yet he's being told to leave his house, go out of the county where he's not allowed to be, after curfew where he's not allowed to do, and go to these places to meet them. And he says, I walk in and they're all over me. And at that point, I was done. I didn't want to go back to jail. I don't blame him. But his looks, because he's such a good looking guy, it kept him out of jail.
This story is huge. It is getting bigger, and it seems like Hillbilly Crime is on the ground there. She's got a lot of victims coming to her, so you guys can check that out. I put the link to that video to her live stream in the description, so you should go check it out. But my God, heads ought to be rolling. Now, according to Hillbilly Crime, many of the victims for years have tried to contact the Attorney General in Kentucky, the FBI. They've been tried to contact, because who do you go to, right, when you're being abused by the system that is law enforcement? Nobody. There's nobody to go to. You can't go to the sheriff to tell the sheriff, when they're all in on it, that these people are using the young women and men in town in a sex ring. You can't do that. So who do you tell? There is no one to help you. So if the victims did come forward and go to the Attorney General, if they came forward and they went to the FBI, boy, those records are somewhere. How far up does this go? Why was this allowed to go on for several years, many years? Why does everybody in this little town seem to know that everybody else is a swinger? And if you want to get out of your drug charges, all you have to do is go give some special favors to the deputies or the judge. This is outrageous. I want to see feds descend on this town and clean it the hell up. But the question is, did they already know? Oh my goodness. You guys, I'll be following this story. I'm going to keep my eye on it, but it is popping off right now and people are coming forward. And I do want to say to those of you out there, if you live in Lecher County and you've had experience with this, contact the press. My God, come forward. All of you should come forward right now. There's no shame in it. There's no shame in coming forward to say people in power, people with a badge, people with sitting behind a judge's bench forced me to do these things or get charged. You know, this is terrible. My email is always open. I'm happy to talk to victims anytime about this terrible, terrible thing. meganfox.writer@protonmail.com. Please reach out to me. I'll tell your story. So this is incredible. This is just an incredible, terrible story. And I am going to be keeping up with it. That's it for me today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon.